Good morning. Today we're going to be doing the last lesson that we're going to do about shapes. And this one's going to deal with three-dimensional shapes like this one that I've continually used to show you all throughout some of the other lessons. So you're going to need page, or the math packet that starts with page 777. It's lesson 14.6, use attributes to define three-dimensional shapes. There's going to be one part of this lesson that's a little bit confusing, and I've tried to do some research on it, and I get multiple answers, so I'm going to share both things with you. I don't think it's going to really impact your ability to do this lesson by any means, but it just might be something that next year in second grade you encounter and you may have questions about. So let's go ahead and get started with this one. If you don't have your paper, you want to pause the video and go grab it. You aren't going to have three-dimensional shapes that I sent home with you because, again, that's not something that I had a class set up, but I think you'll be able to do this lesson without those. So the I can statement says that I can define 3D shapes by their number of edges, vertices, and faces or flat surfaces. I can also reason with math, and we're going to do some reasoning today with this one little section that we'll talk about on the next page. So let's go ahead and get started with, we've been calling our friend Andy. I think that's the same one. Yes. It says, can you find objects in the classroom? Now remember, we have to kind of adjust that because we aren't in our classroom. So these might be objects in your house. Okay. So can you find objects in the classroom that are shaped like the objects below? Write the name of each object you find. Okay. So before we start this, I want to go over the 5 3D shapes that we're going to use during this lesson. So let me place my paper there. Okay, so the first one that we have, this is a familiar shape to you all. It looks like something that you would play with. It looks like a ball. The name of this three-dimensional figure is a sphere. Okay, and I'll write that up here for you. It's also on your paper. Well, actually, I don't need to write it because you can just see it right there on your paper. Okay, so this one is a sphere. This next one we call a cone. Okay, there's a cone. Let's see if I put it in front of the background there. You can see it better. There's a cone. That's what it looks like from the bottom. Okay. This one is a rectangular prism. It's a rectangular shape. This one is a cube. And this last one is a cylinder. That's what it looks like on the bottom. And then it's round on the sides, okay? So let's talk about some items that you might find in your house, that since that's where you are, that you might, or that you could categorize as these shapes, okay? So we're gonna start with a cube, okay? When I think about something in my house that I could find that is this shape, I think about something that I would use if I had to sneeze, or if maybe I needed to wipe my eye. If I had the sniffles, I might could find something in my house that would help me that's in something shaped like this. Can anybody guess what I'm talking about? Okay. If you said a box of tissues, you would be correct. In my house, I have a tissue box. That is shaped like a cube, okay? All right, and you may have something different, okay? But again, because we're having to make modifications because we aren't in our actual classroom, we're just gonna talk about these. So I'm gonna set that one right there. All right, the next one on your paper is a sphere. This one's an easy one, okay? Something that you might have in your house or at your house shaped like this. Could be something I eat. Maybe an orange colored fruit that's round like that. Or could be something I toss back and forth with Kylie. Or I may throw it for my dog. Okay, what could that be? We can put 2 things on this one, okay? All right, if you are thinking about the one I could throw back and forth with my dog, that would be a what? a ball. Okay, if you said a ball, you're correct. Okay. All right. Now, I said that there could be something else in my house that's this shape, that's the color orange that I could eat. What could that be? An orange. Okay. So I could eat a piece of fruit that's called an orange. So I could put that on there too. Okay. All right, let's move to our next one. Okay. This next one. What could I find somewhere in my house maybe shaped like that? I know. Just last month, you guys helped me sing something to someone special because it was their birthday. Okay. So maybe somewhere in my house I could find one of these. That would be a party hat. Okay. So maybe it could be a party hat. Okay. But then if I do this, I might have something at my house that's shaped like this that on a hot summer day, if I've been outside, I may want to come in and I would have to take this part out of the cabinet, but then I could get something out of my freezer, scoop it out, and put it up here. What could that be? What could this shape be? If you said an ice cream cone, you're correct, okay? I could have an ice cream cone at my house shaped like that. Okay, so that's another shape we're going to talk about today. All right, the next one. This is called a rectangular prism. Okay, now let me tell you something about a rectangular prism. It has a rectangle shape here, and I can watch, I'm going to move it, flip it forward. It has a rectangle shape here, flip it forward again. It has a rectangle shape here. I'm going to flip it forward one more time, and it has a rectangle shape here. Okay, but when I turn it to the end, what shape does it have? What is that? It looks sort of like a square, doesn't it? Okay, so a rectangular prism has 4 sides that are the same and 2 sides that are the same. 4 are shaped like rectangles, 2 are shaped like squares. Okay, so something in my house that could be shaped like a rectangular prism. I think I know. Something else that we've already used, I could use again because I have something else in my house shaped like this that I could use if I had a runny nose or a cough or sneeze, or I needed to maybe wipe my eye and I don't want to touch it with my fingers to get germs in it. I could have a tissue box at my house, okay? Something else that I might have that would be shaped like a rectangular prism in my house would be like a blanket chest. Okay, maybe your mom has a chest somewhere that you lift the top up and she puts her special things in it. I have one of those. Okay, so in my house, I have a tissue box that is, oops, I forgot my E, that is shaped like a rectangular prism, and I have a blanket chest. Okay, and the last one. This one is called a cylinder, okay? It has this round side, okay? If you keep going in, there's nothing to stop me, it's just round. And then it has this side that's also round, but it's flat, okay? It's got a circle shape on the end of it, okay? This is called a cylinder. And if I think about something in my house that could be a cylinder shape, actually, I brought one to my desk, okay? Only part of it is shaped like this, though. This is my brand new soap dispenser. I was bringing it upstairs to put it in my bathroom upstairs. But if you look at this part of it, it's round. And if you look at the bottom, it's got that circular shape just like that. Okay, so that would be a cylinder shaped item in my house. Okay, but something else. I'm going to go to my kitchen and go in my cabinet and pull out something out of my cabinet that has green beans in it. And it's very hard, and I have to have a tool to open it. Okay, what could that be? Shaped like a cylinder. It could be a tin can, okay, like your vegetables. If you have cans of vegetables in your house, those are shaped like a cylinder. Okay, so I'm going to put a tin can on here. Now, this doesn't mean that those are the only things that you can find in your house or that I could find in mine that would be shaped like these 5 things, but they're just some things in my house or some objects in my house that are shaped like those things, okay? So really math is all around us, especially when we think about shapes. So let's turn our page and look back here at our little green boxes. Okay, if you'll look at that first one with me and follow along while I read it, it says 3-dimensional or 3D shapes can be grouped in different ways. Okay, so there's our, let's see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, have the same 5 out that we have. Okay, so we can take those 5 items and we can group them in different ways. That means we can put them together in groups using different things. Okay, so the first way that we could group them, he's talking about the flat surface of each of these shapes is a circle. Okay, so this is a rounded surface right here. But at the bottom, so if I hold it this way, you can see it's flat. So this is a flat surface. It is in the shape of a circle. Okay, this also has a flat surface that is in the shape of a circle. So I might put those two together in a group because they have flat surfaces, and a flat surface is also called a face. So they have a face or flat surfaces that are circles. Okay, and he said a cylinder has 2 flat faces. Watch, 1 right there, it's flat. 2, it's flat. 2 flat faces, and a cone has how many? Just 1, because this one up here is just a little point. Okay, all right, let's look at your third green box and let's find another way that we can group these 5 items together. Okay, so this one says these shapes have edges and vertices. Their flat surfaces are called faces, and I just shared that with you when we were talking about these. Okay, so if I look at my rectangular prism and my cube, okay, so each of these flat rectangular sides are faces. Okay, the square sides are faces. Okay, these are here, this, 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 and this. Those all 4 were the same. And this, and this are the same. Okay, and they're the same on this end too. Those are all called edges. It's where those 2 sides kind of meet right there. And this is the part where it kind of starts to get a little bit tricky. Okay, now where we have this edge right here, it's kind of hard. Let me see. This edge right here, this edge on top, and this edge right here coming together, and they make that point. See that point right there? They make that point. That point is called a vertex. And if you look on your paper, you can see where they're drawing to the arrows to the corners where those little points are made. Those are called vertices. And where the 2 sides meet like this, it's called edges. Okay. And our friend Andy is saying the faces of a cube and the rectangular prism all have rectangles. Okay. Well, my cube right here does not have, that's not a rectangle. That's a square. Okay. But both of these have faces and edges and vertices. So I could put those 2 together in a group. So far we've grouped our cylinder and our cones together, and we've grouped our cube and our rectangular prism together. Okay, and we've got one little friend left all by himself. He's completely different from anybody else. Okay, if you look in your last box, it says a sphere is a 3D shape that has no flat surfaces, no edges, and no vertices. There's no flat surface anywhere. It's round. Surface is round. There's no spots where 2 sides meet, like on this, right here, no edges, and there's no vertices where the sides come together and make a point. Okay, so he would be in a group all by himself. So we would have this one. So he's up here. Then we'd have this group. And then we would have this group. And that's how we can use attributes of shapes, okay, to group them in different ways, okay? Now, I could group another way. Watch this, okay? So this one had no edges, no vertices, and no flat surfaces, okay? This one has a flat surface. Has two, actually. This one has a flat surface. This one has lots of flat surfaces. It has 6. This one has 6 flat surfaces. So could I put all of these together in a group and group them as flat surfaces, no flat surfaces? Okay, so that's another way we could group them. All right, okay. So let's go in here, and again, where I wrote in this, you see some where the marker came through, but that's okay. Look at your Do You Understand Show Me box. It says, do 3D shapes always have either faces, flat surfaces, or vertices? And it says to explain. Do they always? That means every time. If you answered no, you're correct. Because do you remember that one little friend that we had that had no vertice, no flat surface, and no vertex? What was it called? Who remembers? It's called a sphere. So this little friend right here makes us have to say no to that question because it doesn't have any of those, and it is a 3D figure, okay, or a 3D shape. So the answer would be no. All right, let's look at your guided practice, and this one is where the section is where it gets a little not really sure about what to believe on this one. It says write how many faces or flat surfaces and vertices each 3D shape has, okay? So we're gonna start with theirs is green, mine is red. This was a rectangular prism. So the first part that we're going to fill in says number of faces or flat surfaces. Now flat surface and face are the same thing, okay? There's just 2 names for it. So we're going to count. Now I promise I'm going to keep up with what side I started with. So I'm gonna start on the top. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 faces or flat surfaces, okay? Now the next part says number of vertices. Now remember, the number of vertices is where the sides come together and it makes a point, okay? So let's count our points. So we've got 1, I'm gonna keep up with how I roll it, 2, 3, 4, I gotta go this way, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 little points where those 3 sides come together, okay? So I'm going to write an 8 under here, okay? And then the last part says number of edges. Now remember, the edges where 2 sides come together, okay? So let's use our rectangular prism again. We're going to count our edges. So we've got 1, let's see if I do it this way, maybe you can see 1 edge, 2 edges, 3 edges, 4 edges, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so under number of edges, I'm going to put 12. Okay, now this is where it gets tricky. I usually stop right here and leave that last one for you to do on your own and have somebody at your house check it. But this one is the one Mrs. Broomfield and I have had lots of conversations back and forth about this little guy right here, okay, because he's kind of tricky. Okay, so some places you look says that a cone has no edges. okay? But a cone does have edges. And a cone also has a vertice. And this is why it's confusing, okay? So let's start with the first question, and then we'll get to those edges and those vertices. So it says number of faces or flat surfaces, okay? So I know it's kind of hard for you to see, but this is not a flat surface, okay? It's rounded. It is flat this way, but that doesn't count, okay? We're going around this way, around it. So that is not a flat surface. If I flip it this way, okay, we're up like that. See how that's flat? That is a flat surface or a face. So the cone would have one face. You want to go ahead and put this on your paper. Okay, so the cone would have one face. All right, now this is where it gets tricky. Remember how I said, I can even use a different one right here. Remember how I said that where all the sides come together and make a point, that's a vertice? Okay, well this is why the little cone friend is tricky. This is all one side right here, isn't it? Okay, this whole thing all the way around, that's all one side. But this point right here is considered a vertice. Okay, tricky, but it is. So it has one vertice. Okay, this is the most tricky part. If I look in my teacher's edition that goes with this, with your book, it says number of edges and it has a 0. But I got to looking at this and I was like, that really doesn't make any sense to me, because I have where this rounded part meets this flat part right here, there's an edge right there, okay? So I decided I was going to go to Google and research and look to see if anybody thought a cone had an edge, because in my mind, that's an edge, okay? So when I looked, I did find some research that said that, or a drawing that said this is an edge. So really, if you put a 0 there, if we were in class, I wouldn't mark it wrong. Or if you put a 1 there and we were in class, I wouldn't say that's wrong, okay? Because there's just so many different interpretations of this little friend right here, okay? And this little one, this little guy makes us happy, because if we turn him this way, he's like ice cream, and this way it's like a birthday party or a party hat. So he's a happy guy, but he's confusing, okay? All right, so I've done all of this side with you. Let's turn over and look at what you're going to do today. I think your stuff that you're going to do is easier than this, okay? So it says, write how many faces or flat surfaces and vertices each object has. Okay, so you can find, if you, in your house, if you could find a sphere, something shaped like a sphere, something shaped like a cube, they give you a good idea right here of what you could find if you have any kind of ball in your house. A cube, and remember if you have a square tissue box, you could use that for a cube. And a drum, this is shaped like a cylinder, so you could find a canned good in your house, okay, if you want to have them in your hands to hold on to them to do, okay? So you're going to look at its shape, write how many flat surfaces it has, and if you don't remember what a flat surface or a face is, look back right here. This box right here tells you, that's what it's there for you to do, to look back and reference it, or you can even come back to this video and watch that part again, okay? Number of vertices goes here. So if you don't remember what vertices are, look back here. There's a diagram that shows you. And number of edges, and same thing, you can look back here to find those, okay? So you're gonna do that on all 3. That means you should have 9 answers for those 3 questions, okay? 3 for each one. All right, let's look at number 6. It says, Lily has an object that looks like a 3D shape. The object has 2 flat surfaces and a vertice. Draw an object that Lily has. So it has 2 flat surfaces and 0 vertices. I think I said and a vertice just a minute ago, but it has 0 vertices, but it has 2 flat surfaces, okay? And I'll give you a hint. You've already looked at it once on this page, okay? So you're going to draw what object she could have over here, okay? All right, when you finish that, the picture of this page will upload to your second page on your template. And then let's look at your last 4 questions. You're going to solve each problem below. That's what the directions say. Number 7 says, this shape is a cone. Which shape below is also a cone? How do you know? So you're going to circle one of these 2, whichever one is the cone, and then you're going to write a complete sentence. Please make sure it is a complete sentence that tells me how you know it is a cone, okay? Use some of those words that you've already talked about or learned on the first and second pages to describe how you know it's a cone. Number 8 says, Nikki and Ben each buy 1 item from the store. Nikki's item has 4 edges. I'm sorry, let me rewind. Nikki's item has 4 more edges than vertices. Ben's item has the same number of flat surfaces and edges. This one is called reasoning, and it's going to make you think. Okay, so you're really going to have to listen and look at and think about what is an object that has 4 more edges than vertices. And then Ben has the same number of flat surfaces and edges. Draw a circle around Nikki's item. You got to be careful with this one. Draw a circle. You need to make sure, I would underline that word circle right now. Draw a circle around Nikki's item, and you need to look back up here and see what the characteristics were, the attributes were for Nikki's item. And then it says draw a box. I would underline the word box around Ben's item. So go back and look at the attributes of Ben's item and draw a box around his, draw a circle around Nikki's. Okay, so take your time. If you rush through that, you might make a mistake easily. Okay, number 8 says higher order thinking. This is going to push you a little bit higher too. Okay, it says draw and label a 3D shape. Then write a sentence describing your 3D shape. So you're going to need to draw a 3D shape. You're going to need to label it. That means you're going to need to write the word vertices, draw a line to the vertices on your shape that you draw. So don't draw a sphere. If you draw a sphere for that one, it won't be correct. Okay, simply because you need to label it. And a sphere doesn't have edges, faces, or vertices. So you can't label it. Okay, so you're going to draw a 3D shape, and you're going to label it with those things. Faces, edges, vertices. Then I want you to write a sentence describing your 3D shape. Okay, that means you'll take those labels that you put on there and write a complete sentence that includes those labels. And your last one, number 10, it's an assessment question. It says, I have 6 faces. I have 8 vertices. Which 3D shape could I be? Choose all that apply. Okay, and I'm going to tell you there is more than one because it says choose all. Anytime it says choose all, you're never going to have just one answer. Okay, all right, good luck. Make sure you go back and watch the video again if you get confused on some of those because there's some tricky sections in there. Okay, all right, have fun.